I want to, because your books are published in many different countries, and because, oh, I've lost his name now. There was a long rant by, who helped me out here, about covers. Somebody, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name. I didn't like his Paris cover, the French publisher's cover, and Barry. I used to go to, and so what you have are books with the same titles, but quite different covers.
Yes.
And so, do you have any input on, how much of that is under your control? How do you feel about that whole business? I'm really interested in the way covers come to be, because some covers you see, and I actually like all of the covers, and we have some examples of the two.
Well, in many markets, I kind of have a veto power. So if it's a cover that I just think is awful, I can say, oh, I think we ought to go down a different road. And that's really only happened once. I generally really like the UK covers, but for the paperback of Stripped, they came up with a cover design that featured the underside of a dead foot with a toe tag on it. It was just gross. And I said, people aren't going to even want to pick this up in the bookstore. They're going to not want to have their fingers on it. So I said, no, we got to do something different with this. But my favorite cover story, and I didn't have any say on it, was actually the Russian edition of Immoral. And I met my Russian editor in London one time, and she very proudly handed me a copy of Immoral. And the main cover image is a helicopter. And I said to my wife afterward, I said, I know it's been a while since I read Immoral, but I honestly don't remember there being a helicopter in the book. And sure enough, there isn't. I'm a little concerned that in translation, Immoral became a story of the Russian mobs.
That is really interesting, because that is one of the, I've read, and I monitor a lot of email news groups, and I've read a lot of authors talking about the fact that there are cover elements that don't involve what's in the book. The woman on the cover is blonde, the woman in the book is brunette, or in one case was a black woman, and they had a blonde on the cover. And and I just wondered how much, because I think readers are interested in how much input and control an author like you has over these things.
It's not that much, and honestly, even with having a veto power, I really try to let them do their thing, because I figure that they understand the dynamics of their market. So I may look at a cover and think, well, it doesn't really work for me, but if that's the kind of cover that's appropriate for that marketplace, who am I to come in as an American and say, well, are Spanish readers really going to respond to that? So.
You talked about the cover of Stripped. I think Stripped is interesting in that you took Jonathan Stride out of Minnesota and put him in Vegas. And then in the next book, you brought him back. Could you talk about the reasons for that?
Yeah, I really wanted to explore the idea of putting Stride in a very foreign environment. And when I say that extremes enrich drama, I think in some ways Las Vegas and Duluth share some extreme elements, but on the other end, on the opposite ends of the spectrum. But when you see Stride for the very first time in Stripped, that chapter, the very first line is fish out of water, and Stride is standing in front of a magic shop in Las Vegas, and he's looking in the window, and there's a fish floating around in a box outside of the bowl of water, and he's thinking about what an interesting trick that is, and he wondered how long a fish could really survive in that environment. And of course, that's reflective of where he is in life, because he's thinking to himself that he's a fish out of water in Las Vegas. And in fact, that's very much the way it turns out to be. And in Stalked, my third book, which is a very ice-cold Duluth thriller, Stride comes back home, as I think most readers knew he would. So.
Do we have time to talk about the agency?
Okay, I have so many questions, but yes, okay, all right, yes.
Not going to get to them all, we'll have to have Brian.
The agency is officially authored by Ali O'Brien.
Yes.
Tell us about Ali O'Brien and the agency.
Well, I am Ali O'Brien, or at least I'm the Brian half of it. The agency was a project that I worked on with my London literary agent, actually, Ali Gunn, and we had a little fun with our names on the book. But she had always wanted to do a book set in the publishing industry, and she's not really a writer, so she approached me and asked if I'd be willing to kind of anchor the writing of the book. And so we came up with something that was sort of Sex and the City meets The Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
And,
Great selling line.
Not read the
so,
book yet, but obviously I will.
and we talked about do we actually put our names on it or do we use a pseudonym? And I said, the people that read my Stride novels, which are very dark, emotional, wrenching kinds of books, they're never going to believe that I actually wrote The Agency, because it's just totally different. Are you going to write another
Allie O'Brien?
In fact, that's my next project. I'm about to start in on the second Allie O'Brien book. Yeah.
Was it well received?
It was very well received. I mean, we got great reviews in People and Entertainment Weekly. And
how about the
like
readers
that.
of Jonathan Stride? What kind of reaction did you get from them?
Most of the readers of Stride, I think, decided to try The Agency, and I was very upfront with my Stride readers, saying, I don't know whether you're going to like this or not, because they're completely different kinds of books. But most of them enjoyed going through it and sort of seeing the other side of Brian Freeman. I was kind of channeling my inner woman.
That's just fabulous.
Where do you get these ideas? Where do you think these ideas for your Stride books come from?
Oh boy, there are some questions that you probably shouldn't ask. At least I look at some of the themes that one of my readers actually sent me a list of all the themes I had covered in the first few Stride novels, and I took a look at it. It's like, geez, where did all that come from? But
well, your wife may worry. But
well, that's true. That's true. Well, she has so many other reasons to worry about me. I think part of it is, people will ask about research, and I will usually say, the best research I do is simply watching people and talking to people, because I want these books to be about people, and I want them to delve in pretty deeply into the emotions and the psychology of the characters in the book. And so the more I learn about people, what I always find is that all you have to do is scratch the surface, and you find just amazing stories coming out about people's lives and the sort of quiet heroism that they go through in different aspects of their lives. And if I can bring a little bit of that sense to the Stride books, it takes that sort of universality of people who are ordinary people but often go through some extraordinary things, and I think that's what goes on in those books.
Ending.
Do we even have time to talk?
No, we don't. We're out of time.
All right.
I'll come back.
Faster,
Great.
we'll have you.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. We're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back for some final words.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Brian.
so much.
My pleasure.
So, who do you think we should have on next time?
Well, I know we have Cara Black,
Yes,
who's coming.
an international
For those
author.
readers, viewers who don't know Cara Black, she writes a great
what's-
series set in Paris.
And we have Judith Guest,
Judith Guest.
who is coming.
What did she write?
Ordinary
Oh,
people.
well.
Ordinary people.
Murder
And
in
mysteries. And
Murder in
mysteries.
St. Cloud.
Yeah.
St. Cloud.
And The Tarnished Eye.
Tarnished Eye.
Wonderful
Yes,
novel.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
just going to say that I thought The Tarnished Eye was an excellent, apart from Ordinary People, I thought The Tarnished Eye was a phenomenal book.
I think we have I was just going through the list that we were talking about earlier. I think we have a lot of very interesting people that will be.
But it would be interesting to hear from viewers. Who would they like
Absolutely.
us to
They
interview?
they could write to us.
Could they?
Or
How could they do
email.
that?
Well, they could email us. Oh, what a beautiful
What
lead-in since we're out of time.
Bing.
So that's it for this program. I want to thank Brian Freeman very much.
Yes.
And I want to thank you two for being here and supporting me and helping make this, what do we call this program, into something worthwhile. You can find additional information about us at our website. And the website address is www.minnesotacrimewave.org, with links to these previous programs, of which we've done quite a few. And you can learn about our books, which is also nice. You could even buy books through our websites, can't you? If you want to receive a list of the books we've talked about here, email us. And if you have questions or suggestions for other programs, email us. MinnesotaCrimeWave@yahoo.com is the address for the emails. Be sure to mention the title or the number of the program you're writing about if you have some specific questions. To remind you, this one is episode number 23. We'll see you next time, and as always, read more mysteries.